international community has already recognized that the 2021 election in Uganda was neither free nor fair. And it's important that these words are followed with firm actions. We call upon the world leaders to stop shaking General Museveni's blood-stained hands through funding and cooperation.
Exactly. And I think we should make this noise over and over again.
We call upon the governments and organizations all over the world to impose sanctions on him and the people that he uses to torture and kill innocent citizens. We call upon all those who value democracy and human rights and the rule of law to isolate General Museveni because he has distinguished himself as an excellent violator of human rights who has no respect whatsoever for human life and human dignity.
Exactly.
We ask you to support our demands for accountability for the crimes against humanity that he has committed and continues to commit against the people of Uganda.
You're watching Mordecai Marissa Live Political Commentary. Please consider subscribing to help grow Uganda's Voices of Struggle ecosystem. Thank you.
I cannot appreciate you enough for using your valuable time to always go on social media, break down things for people.
And yes, indeed, presenting to you from these United States of the America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're watching me and at whatever time you might watch this. My name is Mordecai Marissa, and you're welcome to Mordecai Marissa Live. Exactly. Thank you so much, folks. I've seen your tremendous support across Africa. Thank you, guys. More especially folks from Malawi, folks from Zambia, Zimbabwe, Liberia, Sierra Leone, people from South Africa, Kenya, many people from, what's that country? There's a country in West Africa. I've seen a few folks from Nigeria as well who are following up trends in Uganda. Thank you so much, folks. I do really appreciate it. Now, I welcome you to join me on my YouTube channel. It's a community known as Mordecai Marissa Live. Go ahead and subscribe. Subscription is free, and I'll truly appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight again, we are asking ourselves a question. I've seen so many people ask me, especially folks from other countries from Africa. They've said, Mordecai, why is Bobi Wine so interested in bringing down the rotten regime of Museveni? Bobi Wine is a young man. He was famous. Why did he decide to do this? I said, guys, I cannot answer that question, but I will hope you find out. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Are you ready? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. Now, Bobi Wine is running for president for the second time. At the age of 43 years of age, he stands as one of Uganda's youngest and wealthiest political challengers. And you have to know this. Long before Bobi Wine joined politics, he had already achieved financial success at the age of 23, 24, 25. I think I remember it was around 24 when he was able to purchase himself an Escalade Cadillac. Now, if you're watching from the USA or Europe, that's not a big deal. But if you are in Africa and you're able to purchase yourself an Escalade Cadillac at only 24 years of age, you pay cash, that's success. So that was Bobi Wine. Yet despite of all that, he chose to abandon comfort and safety, you may argue, to enter Uganda's most dangerous battlefields. What is it? Opposition politics. That decision has indeed come at a very devastating cost. Since stepping into political arena, Bobi Wine's journey has been marked by bloodshed, loss, and relentless persecution. His driver, known as Yasin Kauma, was shot dead in Arua District in 2018. His own life has survived multiple assassination attempts. His supporters such as Ritah, Nabukenya, the likes of Ssenteza were killed. His supporters like John Bosco Kibalama vanished without trace up to date. Even after you have folks in the government of Museveni saying, oh, we abducted so-and-so, we've got him. Up to now, we don't know where John Bosco Kibalama is. His bodyguards, were abducted, many of them arrested, they were tortured, and they were being kept illegally in detentions. These are known to isolated incidents, as many folks in the Museveni government would have you convinced they are part of a wide pattern of the repression surrounding his campaign and how the Museveni regime targets its opponents. This reality forces a very haunting question that has made me make this video. Why would a young, wealthy, talented, famous young man willingly walk into this struggle that has claimed lives of his friends, his supporters? The answer, indeed, I found out that, it lies in a speech he gave in a Geneva Summit for Human Rights and Democracy in Switzerland. In that address, he laid out a searing indictment of President Museveni's rule and issued what you would define as a direct appeal to the Western governments to stop funding the government of Museveni, which he and I also do the same, describe as an oppressive regime. Now, without further ado, let us go on and listen to what Bobi Wine says about the regime of Museveni and why he decided to offer himself for leadership, for struggle.
See how our leaders become misleaders, and see how our mentors become tormentors. Freedom fighters became dictators. They're killing our people in Karamoja. We are fighting for freedom. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share my story, which also represents the story of very many Ugandans that have endured human rights violations for the last 36 years. Mm-hmm. I never intended to get into
now almost 40
politics, and neither did I pay much attention to the political space until my personal consciousness was awakened rudely by my personal humiliation at the hands of a security operative.
You got a rude awakening.
I'm a musician, and in 2005, I was the hottest artist in town, singing about parties and girls and money. Mm-hmm. And so, like any other 23-year-old who is successful, I went out and bought a big fancy car, a Cadillac Escalade with spinning wheels and a personalized number plate, Ghetto.
Exactly.
One day, I was at a nightclub in Kampala when a security operative pulled me out of my brand new car, slapped me in the face, and put a gun on my head. Mm-hmm. And he asked me, "Yo, why are you showing off? Don't you know that this country has owners?" I drove away humiliated, and this horrible feeling was all over me, a feeling of you deserved it. Because he was right. I thought I was safe as a celebrity, partying with the rich and powerful military generals, whining and dining with them. But I did not know that it didn't change the reality. The reality that I was just a boy from the ghetto, and that I would not be free from their oppressive rule until everyone in Uganda was free.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Martin Yemola's poem. First, they came for the communists, and I do not speak out because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for trade unionists, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't. They came for socialists. I didn't speak out because I wasn't a socialist. But finally, they came for me, and there was nobody to speak out for me. Okay.
That incident reminded me of the humiliation that many Ugandans faced every day. I couldn't forgive myself for having allowed my temporary and deceptive comfort and elevation from society to blind me from the plight of my fellow disadvantaged people.
Listen to that, deceptive comfort. And there's so many of us who actually live that kind of deceptive comfort. If we're able to go out and have a good time with family and friends, if we go down, in nightclubs and dance, there's a facade of freedom and comfort we have. Yet, at the end of the day, we're going to be questioning how much we paid, how much were we charged when we were entering that nightclub, how much did we spend on beer, how much did we spend on food. If you sit down by yourself and try to think, you realize that, taking advantage of your ignorance and your detachment from how the country or the economy is being mismanaged.
And I decided on that day that moving forward, I would be a voice of social justice.
Good, thank you.
For 36 years, Uganda has been under the rule of General Yoweri Museveni. Mm-hmm. More than 85% of Ugandans have never seen another president in their lifetime. Not because the law allows it, no, but because he has always changed the constitution with the help of a compromised parliament, and he has always rigged elections with the help of a personalized military.
Yeah, exactly.
But regardless of all this, the Western world continued to tolerate and enable General Museveni because he is considered a useful dictator.
Yeah.
Good for regional security and national stability, even if he bends a few rules. But that's not true. General Museveni rules Uganda with an iron hand. He deploys the military against the citizens and students. Those who oppose him are either put in prison, tortured, or killed.
And then one thing I don't understand here, all these folks who fund the Museveni regime and who fund other dictators in Africa, they wouldn't allow what Museveni does to his own citizens being done to their own citizens. Imagine if the president of the US or the prime minister of the UK or Sweden decided to be like, hey, the military has the permission to beat up opposition politicians. Imagine that. They wouldn't allow it. But with Museveni convincing them that, hey, as long as I am able to play this game of middleman within this region, you can give me a permission structure to bend a few rules. But that slight bending of a few rules is extreme and utter violation of human rights that wouldn't be tolerated in these countries that are funding Uganda. And it is very sad. How I wish these folks actually wake up and be like, no, we can't allow it.
His administration ranks one of the most corrupt in the world. His family members and henchmen have plundered our nation at the expense of healthcare, education, and other social services. So, sitting there in my fancy car, beaten and humiliated, I knew I could not stay silent anymore. So, for the next 10 years, I dedicated my music to the plight of the common Ugandans and the fight for human rights. In 2016, General Museveni rigged the election and declared himself president again. And that's when I decided that if the parliament could not come to the ghetto would go to the parliament.
Oh, yeah.
In 2017, thank you. In 2017, I decided to run for a parliamentary seat. Our constituency campaign turned into a national campaign.
Absolutely.
And we won the seat with 80%.
Was a making of a revolutionary, and that's unbelievable. I was in Uganda, and I had never seen something like that. More especially if you are paying attention to constituency elections. Nothing has ever been like what we saw.
Then we started the People Power movement to awaken a generation of young Ugandans, talking to them about democracy and explaining to them why they must get involved. This annoyed General Museveni, and from then we were branded as enemies. In 2018, while on a campaign trail in the northern Ugandan district of Arua, General Museveni decided that it was too much for him to take. He alleged that our supporters had stoned his motorcade, and for that reason, the military was given orders to shoot and kill. I had just stepped out of my car when suddenly I heard gunshots. Blah, blah, blah.
That is an artist's mind talking right there. Blah, blah, blah. That's how it sounded.
Driver and friend, Yasin Kauma, was shot dead in the car seat that I had been occupying just a few minutes earlier.
Yeah.
I took a picture of him and tweeted it, him lying in a pool of blood I tweeted it with the caption, "Police has shot my driver dead, thinking they've shot at me." And then the Special Forces Command, a section of the military that is led by General Museveni's son, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, started hunting for me. For the next 8 hours, I hid in a random hotel room as they broke down every single door looking for me. Meanwhile, my tweet went viral, and suddenly the entire world was watching Museveni. So when they finally found me, they did not kill me, but they tortured me to near death. I was
imagine that. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, it is so sad that long exposure to dictatorship tendencies get you to a point where you are completely desensitized. He's talking about an incident that happened to him like it's a normal thing. Like he was abducted on the orders of the president of Uganda, tortured. But up to now, the president and his jack-booted thugs that tortured him have never been held accountable. We doubt if they'll ever be held accountable unless things change. Imagine that. But we moved on like that was a normal thing to do. Actually, when he was tortured, the president was told about the misfortunes, the mayhem that had been visited onto Bobi Wine. And the response from the president of Uganda was like, "Oh, I heard that Bobi Wine was tortured." And I asked them, let me see how they beat him up. And I think they beat him up very, very well. President of a country referring to his political opponent that, hey, I can break the law, and I am so proud of breaking the law that I will hold a press conference and boast about how my men have tortured you. Sickening.
Detained in a military base for several days. Not even my family knew where I was. I later learned that people protested in very many parts of the world calling for my release.
Oh, yeah.
And for this, I am forever grateful, because if it was not for that pressure, I'm sure I would not be alive to talk to you today. In a military court, I was charged with the offense of annoying the president, treason, and illegal possession of firearms.
This is not a Hollywood script. There is folks that have been jailed in Uganda for annoying the president. They call it disturbing the peace of the president.
They displayed 2 machine guns to prove that.
I think I should say this, and sorry for pausing here. I do not understand the ego of these strong men, tough guys. They have ego that is so fragile that they're triggered by the most minute scintilla of criticism. I've seen folks who have been jailed in Uganda because they made fun of the first lady, Janet Kataha. Many boys, teenagers have been sent to prison because they made fun of the command of our defense forces. How fragile must your ego be to the extent that you'll be on the lookout of someone who is making fun of you? Really? Come on.
That. And of course, these were trumped up charges. Out of shame, the firearms charges were later dropped and the guns disappeared. 2.5 years later, that case has not been heard. So, in 2019, I announced that I was running for president. Now, under General Museveni's Uganda, that means 3 things. It either means prison, or being forced into exile, or death. But we were ready for all that. And yes, that's exactly what happened. We endured the most horrifying campaign, the most violent campaign, the most brutal and murderous campaign you can ever imagine. In November 2020, I was arrested for allegedly violating COVID-19 regulations, a convenient excuse for Museveni to suppress his political opponents. Our supporters protested against my illegal detention, and the military went on rampage. They shot and killed hundreds of people. But of course, General Museveni came out and said that they killed only 54 protesters.
And I'm going to ask you please to go on and check my YouTube channel. I posted a video where Museveni was alleging that, nobody was, no innocent person was shot dead. And there's a video that was a documentary that was actually compiled by BBC that shows you how people were shot at just for standing around and just looking. And, you know, they were just senselessly murdering people on streets. So you want to go on and watch it.
Thousands were arrested, and instead of the accountability for the massacre, General Museveni came out and praised the military for a job well done.
Yep.
A few days later, my bodyguard and friend, Frank Ssenteza, was deliberately run over and killed by a military police car. Thousands of our supporters were then abducted by security operatives in unmarked vehicles called drones in Uganda. And as I speak to you right now, many are still missing, while others are still in illegal detention.
Up to now, this was 3 years ago. Now, this is 2025. Many of them are still in prison.
Play for supporting me and our party. Those who were lucky to return, they came back with severe torture marks and horrifying stories. Stories of eyes and fingernails plucked out. Stories of men being castrated and women being raped in detention.
Many of them have died.
But we never gave up, and we will never give up.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It wasn't me challenging General Museveni. No, it was an entire generation. And for the first time, there were no tribal lines. There were no religious lines. There were no class lines. The entire population were speaking with one big voice. All our people were saying, people power is our power. It was the biggest public phenomenon that
Which is translated as, the true meaning is people power is stronger than people in power.
I had ever seen. Now, I had been a celebrity. I had done hit songs. I knew what it meant to be famous and having people chant your name wherever you go. But this was different. On election day, after casting my ballot, I went home only to find my house surrounded with hundreds of soldiers. And later I learned that the same was happening to all our party offices across the country. The internet was switched off. Mainstream media was placed under strict censorship. Any radio station that dared to report on the election was immediately shut down. Radio presenters and journalists were arrested. And so in this complete blackout, General Museveni declared himself winner of the election again. International authorities challenged the results as fraudulent, not free, and not fair. But I remained under house arrest for the next 11 days. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not an exaggeration to say that my life is in danger because I live in Uganda, and after here, I am going back to Uganda. I have lost friends and colleagues at the hands of security forces. I have been arrested and charged very, very many times, and my only crime has been challenging General Museveni's dictatorship. I'm therefore here to tell the world with clarity that General Museveni is not the leader you think he is. He is a threat to the people of Uganda, and yes, he's a threat to the entire region. The international community has already recognized that the 2021 election in Uganda was neither free nor fair. And it's important that these words are followed with firm actions. First, we call upon the world leaders to stop shaking General Museveni's blood-stained hands through funding and cooperation.
Exactly. And I think we should make this noise over and over again. The funds that are given to Uganda in some sort of aid or in any way, it is usually channeled to targeting Museveni's opponents. The international community has aided and abetted the Museveni regime, and they should stop. Don't they understand that there's no leader who would stay in power for 40 years and still convince them that he's a benevolent dictator? That's what they refer himself as.
Secondly, we call upon the governments and organizations all over the world to impose sanctions on him and the people that he uses to torture and kill innocent citizens. Thirdly, we call upon all those who value democracy and human rights and the rule of law to isolate General Museveni because he has distinguished himself as an excellent violator of human rights who has no respect whatsoever for human life and human dignity.
Exactly.
And fourth, we ask you to support our demands for accountability for the crimes against humanity that he has committed and continues to commit against the people of Uganda. Now, for far too long, the Western world has believed that allowing dictators to hold their nations hostage is an unacceptable cost for perceived security. Leaders who tolerate dictators and treat them as legitimate partners are complicit in their crimes.
Ooh, that's an indictment to them. Speak to these folks who fund Museveni. You're being accomplices in the misfortunes of the Ugandan people.
Please do not be partners in crime.
In this oppression, absolutely.
Do not sacrifice your moral obligation. Do not sacrifice your moral obligation for short-time convenience. Please stand on the right side of history. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, come on. That was a very, very good speech. But I mean, what you see is a selfless, is a face of selflessness. A man who had it all, fame and fortune. But he's said, okay, I would rather put it away and focus on liberating my country with my people. He's been beaten. He's been tortured. You've heard what he's gone through. But all in service for his country. Like I usually say, you have all these armchair analysts who usually come out and say, oh, Bobi Wine likes in depth and stuff like this. They will never, not even move an inch in as far as doing what Bobi Wine has done. But they have all these analysis on who should be president and who shouldn't. They're good at analyzing, not until you tell them that, hey, how about you walk the talk? Let's see your analysis being manifested through your actions. That's when they take the back seat. So I'm here to call you folks to join us. Support Bobi Wine in all ways possible. He's offered himself for an ultimate cause, but he cannot do it by himself. And I'll use this platform as well to call on to the international community. Do not be accomplices in our oppression. Museveni is a stain on the reputation of a country called Uganda. There's no leader in any way whatsoever that would have me convinced that being in power for 40 years doesn't make you a dictator. No way. In the words of Museveni himself, especially back in the early 1980s, the problem of Africa are not the people, but leaders who overstay in power. So how do we get rid of that problem? By working together to defeat the Museveni and his system, the Musevenism system that has killed and deteriorated the state of our country. Let us come together. And I'm saying this, you might be having a dictator in your country, wherever you might be watching me from. I know Mnangagwa is not a good leader in Zimbabwe. There's so many other dictators across the African continent. Samia Suluhu in Tanzania. So let us unite together and liberate the African continent and the world at large. That's it for now, guys. My name is Mordecai Morisa. Let me know what you think. I'll be back soon. See ya.
Did you enjoy what you just watched?
I'm sure they did.
I'm going to guess that you did. How about you consider subscribing to Mordecai Marissa Live YouTube channel? Thank you.